also please welcome Shailley Singh, SVP of Product Management and Global Programs at the IAB Tech Lab from the States. In this session, Shailley will share some recent and upcoming standards releases and revisions to support the growth of connected TV and cross-media video. You'll learn how the new features will make buying, selling, delivering, and measuring connected TV safe, transparent, and TV-like experience for advertisers and consumers alike. So without further ado, over to you, Shailley.
Hi, I'm Shailley Singh, Senior Vice President of Product Management and Global Programs at IAB Tech Lab, and welcome to CTV Advertising Standards from IAB Tech Lab. I'll walk you through a quick overview of Tech Lab and then take you through our priorities, and then quickly jump into the CTV standards that have been in existence for some time, that have been recently released, and some things that we are working on going forward. Tech Lab is a global organization, as many of you may be aware. We have over 750 companies as our members, and we engage this community to develop foundational technology and standards that are geared towards enabling trust and growth in the digital media ecosystem. What we do is we bring together all of our members to collaborate in a neutral and transparent environment so that they can develop an efficient base for innovation for their products and for the industry. We do all of this to ensure that the industry can take advantage of the programmatic transactions, the scale and the efficiency of the programmatic transactions, and operate in a frictionless marketplace on all of the prominent platforms where consumers consume content, be it connected television, be it video, display advertising, audio ads, or mobile advertising. Our priorities, so we have identified three priorities with feedback from the industry. The first one that's in the center is, of course, some of the key challenges that the industry is facing due to the loss of the traditional identifiers and privacy regulations and the steps taken by key platforms on privacy, which is where we are helping the industry to understand the next generation of addressability and privacy frameworks and privacy systems that need to be put in place. The second area of our focus is security and fraud, where we have standards like Ads.txt, Ads.cert, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. We have our compliance services to ensure that you're working with a partner in confidence. And we also developed the Transparency Center there to ensure that the industry has all of this metadata available that is required to maintain a secure supply chain and mitigate fraud in the ecosystem. Of course, the focus of today's presentation is one on connected television, which is also a priority area of focus for IAB Tech Lab. And we are looking at making the delivery of the ads much better, and then improving the measurement that is available on the connected television environments. And we'll also look at sometime later in the year on audience and what could be a common currency and how do you measure and map that. So without much wait, I'll jump into on the connected television standards. But before we get into that, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a TV-like experience for the connected television environment. A lot of the long-form premium content is moving towards the digital or connected televisions from your linear television. And consumers expect the same experience, just like they watch TV, seamless ability to seamlessly watch content that they watch, expectation of low latency ads that they expect. And then similarly, the buyers are also looking at the same experience that they've been used to on buying ads on television, linear television. They want to take the same experience and be able to buy in a similar fashion. And of course, the publishers and sellers are all also at the same time trying to look at the same sort of fill rates that they expect on television to have the same on the connected televisions. So that's what we're trying to do to create better fill rates for sellers and publishers, a better buying experience for buyers, and better measurement capabilities. And in turn, that should create a seamless viewing experience for the consumers. So how do we do that? So we have a multiple set of standards that take care of different aspects of this TV-like viewing experience. So we have VAST, which is the video ad serving template that's been around for quite some time. And we have made changes consistently to account for CTV environment in that. Then recently we made changes to the digital video ad formats, which I'll talk about later. We also created the SIMID, or a new interactive standard for interactivity in the ads. We're also working on Open SDK for connected television. We also have the Ads.txt that applies to the app stores on these vMVPDs and other channels, other networks. And then, of course, the Open RTB. We started making changes to the Open RTB to enable connected television ad buying. So let's get into VAST to start with. So we started working on VAST some time back to modernize the delivery of the assets that are needed to serve a video ad. The first changes were made by introducing the mezzanine file, which is a raw file that allows the ad servers to be able to transcode based on their requirements. And also it has the ready to serve files capabilities. So the ad server can serve 3 files of high, medium, and low quality, and the publisher, based on their environment, can decide and choose which one they want to show to the user. We also introduced server-side ad insertion capability that allows the user experience from content to ad and back to content to be seamless. Then we introduced the support for verification, which was earlier was built into the vPage, would be separated out of vPage and created a separate place for verification scripts to be executed. And then with SIMID, we introduced a much better way to introduce interactivity in the ads. And of course, there were other improvements like standard VAST interactive templates to enable certain types of specific types of interactivity. And you can find it all at iabtechlab.com/standard/VAST for more details. So in SIMID, basically, one of the complaints against vPage has been that it takes control of the publisher environment or publisher video player. It's a black box JavaScript. You don't know what it's going to do. It has been multi-purposed, that it was designed for interactivity, but it does verification, interactivity, and anything else that the JavaScript can do. So we created SIMID, which is a secure and safe way to execute interactivity in a sandboxed environment. It's an HTML file. It does not take control of the players from the publisher. It has better user experience because you can pre-cache assets. And the other beautiful part of it is that it works in the SSAI context. It's designed for that. So even if you have a SSAI workflow, you can still serve interactive ads. And it works in environments where typically JavaScript is not allowed, for example, connected televisions. So that's for the interactivity in the ads on connected television. Now, one important update that happened recently is that the digital video ad format guidelines, which kind of define what kind of resolution the file should have, what kind of size it should have, dimensions, and other video specific aspects like bit rate and frame rate, duration. So these were all defined in our digital video ad format guidelines, which had not been updated for quite some time, but we were able to, at the end of March, we updated those guidelines to account for the connected television large screen environments. So here, like 3 kind of highlighted main changes is what I'll talk about. One is the mezzanine file. So the mezzanine file was a capability in VAST, but there was no place where it was defined how it is to be submitted and what are the details. So in this update, we've defined that you need to submit like bit rate, frame rate, color space when you submit the mezzanine file. And also we've defined certain creative submission guidelines to include things like duration, the aspect ratio, and any engagement events that the file might have. The other thing that we defined is because of the difference in size of the connected television compared to our regular laptops and mobile devices, we've included specific guidance for dimension, placement, duration, engagement, and controls for the CTV screens for the nonlinear ads or the companion ads. So those are the updates in the digital ad format guidelines. They're out for public comments until the end of the month. So I would request everybody to look at those and provide us any feedback that you think is necessary to be included in these ad format guidelines. So this is a big change, like I was saying. So in Open RTB 2.6, which just got finalized like a couple of weeks back, we have identified 3 things that are relevant to CTV, the changes that we've made, which are specific to CTV. The first one is the ad pods, which is the capability to sell multiple ad slots together or multiple ad breaks together. And I'll cover that in a little bit more detail. The other is the CTV context. So a lot of the CTV, one of the prominent use cases in CTV is the virtual multi-channel video programming distributor use case, where it's like a hulu.com, and inside that you're watching an NBC. So we've added capability to declare the content network and the content channel signaling information in the bid request. That provides buyers with better information as to where the ad is actually being shown. The other thing that is there is the CPM per second floor. So like a 15-second ad is not the same as a 45-second ad, and the pricing should be different. So there is a CPM per second floor declaration that a publisher can make in the bid request based on the length of the ad, then the CPM changes. So getting a little bit more into the ad pods. So if you look at any of the long form premium content that you watch on linear TV, you have an ad break which has 2 or 3 or 4 ads that are shown together. In digital, in the old programmatic, there was never a need for something like that. So there was never a capability to be able to declare ad break with multiple ad slots. So in 2.6, that's the capability that we've introduced, that you can send a bid request by defining an ad pod, and you can do either a structured ad pod that is ad slot 1, ad 2, ad slot 3, and the duration of that and the position of that. So the buyer knows that I have 3 ad slots that I can buy. One of them is 15 seconds, the other one are 30 seconds, other 2 are 30 seconds, and they can make the bid, accordingly. But we also added more flexibility into that you can also declare that this is an ad break, which is 1 minute, 30 seconds ad break, and you can have ads up to 15 to 45 seconds in it. So now the buyer can mix and match. They have flexibility based on the creatives that they have and the ads that they want to show. They can pick and choose and fill that dynamic ad pod with multiple ads, could be of varying lengths. So those are the 2 capabilities that have been introduced to support a TV-like buying behavior. What it does is, besides the flexibility it gives the buyers to buy according to to be able to place the buys according to their needs, it allows them to do competitive separation. If a brand doesn't want to be next to a certain brand, they can manage that. It makes sure that there's limited brand repetition in ad break. You can make sure that there's no ad that is repeated in ad break, which is sometimes very annoying for users to see the same ad again and again, and it doesn't give ROI to the brand if the same ad gets repeated in one break. So that's the flexibility that it provides the buyer and the capabilities it provides the buyer to buy a pod for an ad break. So that's a very significant, important feature. It's finalized after all the feedback from the industry. It's available now for the industry to implement, and we look forward to everyone moving and upgrading to Open RTB 2.6. So once you've bought the ad, you delivered the ad, Next thing advertisers want to do is measure the ad. So Open Measurement SDK is our project where we consolidate all of our measurement work. We have the Open Measurement SDK for iOS, for Android, OS, as well as for web browsers now. And so this year, we are working on launching 2 more SDKs for the OM SDK, one for tvOS, which is the Apple TV. And then the second one is the Android TV, which will cover devices like Amazon Fire and cover other multiple Android-based devices. What we plan to do is we do want to make sure that we have tested our SDK on each device. And so we will test it and then we'll list the device that we qualify as support for the Android TV SDK. Similarly, another scenario that we found was that a lot of the televisions have HTML rendering environments, which means that our web browser SDK, OM SDK for web browsers, can actually be executed and work for the measurement there. So there again, what we want to do is we want to test each device and environment and then list that and make it available to the industry to look that we have qualified support for these TVs using the OM SDK for web browsers. So that way we will build up the portfolio of support for connected television measurement. Our goal is to have 45 to 50% of the inventory coverage by end of the year with the tvOS, Android TV, and qualified OM SDK for web browser support. Now, some of the capabilities that we have added for connected television, besides all of the other OM SDK measurement capabilities for impression, for viewability, geometry, etc. First thing we added was whether the TV is on or off, whether the device is actually connected to a television, and if the TV is on or off. The second one is where, especially use cases where people are binge watching for a long time, or there are programs where the episodes kind of autoplay one after the other. So we want to make sure that we are able to pass some sort of a user inactivity signal to ensure that the measurement is done when user is actually watching the TV or not. And the third one is a CTV traffic identification. So till now we had signals for mobile and web. So we expanded that to include CTV traffic identification. And in future, that's going to expand more to be more granular about the device, etc. So those are the 3 capabilities that we've added to Open Measurement Interface Definition, or OMID. And we plan to launch this on tvOS, Android TV, and provide support for OM SDK for web for environments where it's applicable. So that was measurement. And the next is wanted to discuss some of the standard work that's being done for mitigating ad fraud in the CTV space. Of course, our main standard is the authorization standard, which is the Ads.txt. And then we've also introduced last year the Ads.cert authenticated connection, especially for SSAI environments, so that you can authenticate and know the server that you are working with is the right partner that you want to work with. So for Ads.cert, we have an open source library on our GitHub for all of the Ads.cert implementation details. They are all available with reference implementations, and more work is being done on that. To support the Ads.txt deployment and use, we've created the Transparency Center, inside which we have supply chain data that we aggregate from all of the apps and websites. So we already have the Roku App Store data there for Ads.txt. And if you didn't know, the Transparency Center is now open to all. It was earlier restricted to members, but now it is available to anybody who wants to log in and use the web application to do a spot check or check something. And then we also have the APIs for those companies that want to ingest all of the data into their own systems for more real-time checks. So that was my last slide with the ad fraud. Those are all the standards that we have already or are working on to support the connected television supply chain. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event, and I look forward to the industry adopting these standards as quickly as they can. If you have any questions, you can either go to iabtechlab.com/standards. All of the information is there. Or if you have further questions, you can always write to us at support@iabtechlab.com. Thank you.